Well, it looks like we'll have to wait one more day. After a couple of important decisions today, one of which we'll talk about a little later, the U.S. Supreme Court has still not handed down its ruling on whether Washington, D.C. will be able to keep its controversial 1977 handgun ban. An opinion is expected to be issued tomorrow, the final day of the Supreme Court session. Both sides of this Second Amendment issue are watching closely. Whatever the court decides will surely have a national impact. Tom Fitton is the president and chief spokesman for Judicial Watch. Tom, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Michael.
So the line out of Vegas is this is a done deal, that the court is going to throw out the handgun ban, or they're at least going to affirm the Second Amendment. Is that what you're hearing?
Well, I hope so. You can never know until they rule. But based on the oral argument, there seem to be a majority of justices, including Justice Kennedy, who's unfortunately off in the swing vote, as you heard earlier with the child rape case. And Justice Kennedy seemed to be very adamant that the Second Amendment protects an individual right to bear arms. And when the court rules tomorrow, it may be an historic decision, because this is the first time the court will give its interpretation of what the Second Amendment means. We've been arguing about it for years and years in this country. Now the Supreme Court's going to weigh in. You know, it's interesting to me because there have been quite a few liberal scholars like Lawrence Tribe up in Harvard who have said, hey, it says what it says. I mean, I don't like guns, I don't like the Second Amendment, but it's true. I'm wondering if it's going to be 5-4. I mean, Tom, do you want to be the guy or gal who wrote the indefensible, I'm pretending the Second Amendment's not in there decision that's going to lose anyway? Well, you know, if you have an agenda, you're not going to be embarrassed by it. I don't think the liberals on this court are embarrassed by their liberal agenda. Oftentimes they're in the majority, and they may lose this one. And the question is, if they rule that it's an individual right, the next question is, well, what does that mean? You know, we have individual rights in this country, but they don't trump everything. And the question next is going to be, given the fact the Second Amendment protects an individual right to bear arms, and to carry arms and to potentially use them in self-defense, what interest does the government have in regulating that right? And what is the court going to do when faced with the myriad of questions that will come up after this decision?
In other words, all across the country you have these different state laws, like if you want to conceal carry, you can, you can't, here's the rule, that's the rule. If suddenly you interject an individual right, all of those state laws now are called into question, right?
Well, potentially. It depends on how narrow the court ruling is, but this could be the beginning of the beginning. This could be the first of many Supreme Court cases that begin to outline the parameters of the right to bear arms. Now, I'm assuming it rules our way in the sense that they affirm an individual right, but if it goes the other way, it could be all bets are off on that, too.
Very briefly, this whole session, doesn't it prove that the people were screaming, oh, no, Alito, Roberts, we're doomed? It's been a pretty middle clunking around in the center court, hasn't it?
Well, you know, there are issues that are not controversial, it seems to me. And then the controversial issues, the court is deeply divided on the military commissions issue, on the child rape issue. And I don't think we're going to get a 7-2 or 6-3 ruling tomorrow. We'll probably get another 5-4 ruling. So on the issues that people are interested in, the Supreme Court's closely divided. On the issues that people aren't interested in, the Supreme Court tends to have a little bit more, together on it.
And that's what makes it so fascinating. Tom, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it. Barack Obama asks his supporters